There is a reason powerful people don't like visitors, and it has nothing to do with rudeness or ego. It is something far older, far deeper, rooted not in manners but in instinct. A powerful individual understands that his environment is not decoration, it is a weapon, a sanctuary, a psychological armor that allows him to think clearly and move with intention. His room is not simply a room, it is the territory where his mind arranges itself into sharpness. His home is not simply a dwelling, it is the fortress where his strategy is forged. And every fortress, if it is to remain strong, must control who crosses its gate. People who live without ambition do not understand this. They think a visit is a harmless gesture, a casual drop-in, a simple interaction. But to a man committed to building power, every presence has weight, every voice carries influence, every energy has consequences. And every intrusion has a cost far heavier than the one who intrudes will ever notice. The powerful guard their space because they know how fragile clarity truly is. Focus is not accidental, it is cultivated slowly, through silence, repetition, routine, the gradual sharpening of instinct. A man can spend hours aligning his mind, days reinforcing his discipline, weeks building the momentum that allows him to act decisively. Yet one visitor, one conversation, one interruption, one shift in atmosphere can fracture that momentum instantly. The visitor who talks endlessly leaves noise behind, that lingers long after he is gone. The visitor who brings tension or anxiety fills the room with a subtle heaviness that takes time to purge. The visitor who asks questions, seeks reassurance, or wants attention drains the mental resources that a powerful man needs for himself. Even the visitor who means well carries their own emotional static, their own unspoken expectations, their own invisible influence. Most people absorb these things unconsciously. Powerful people do not. They feel every disturbance like a change in the air before a storm. This is why those who rise to influence protect their environment the way warriors protect their weapons. They know that the mind is shaped by whatever enters its space. A cluttered room breeds a cluttered mind. A chaotic presence disrupts inner order. A needy visitor shifts the psychological balance of the owner. Even small things matter. A misplaced object, a different scent in the air, footsteps in the hallway, someone sitting in a chair that is usually empty. These are not dramatic events, yet they alter the subtle architecture of the space, and therefore alter the subtle architecture of the mind. Ordinary men underestimate this. They think their mood collapses because of circumstances, not realizing it collapses because they allow too many people to walk into their mental territory unchecked. But powerful men notice. They feel the exact moment their focus begins to bend. They feel the subtle drain on attention. They feel the shift in their own posture, their own breathing, their own instinctive calm, and so they guard their environment with an almost instinctive vigilance. A powerful man prefers silence, not because he dislikes people, but because silence is the only condition under which he belongs entirely to himself. In silence, he hears his own thoughts clearly. In solitude, he becomes aware of what he wants without interference. In distance, he maintains leverage over his own time, his own attention, his own emotional boundaries. Visitors threaten these three pillars, not through malicious intent, but through the simple reality of their presence. Every human carries their own world with them, their anxieties, their desires, their beliefs, their habits, their expectations. When they step into another person's space, they bring that world with them. And if the powerful man is not vigilant, that foreign world begins to mix with his own. It changes the emotional temperature. It shifts the psychological atmosphere. It makes him adapt when he should remain centered. And in power, adaptation to others is the first step toward losing one's edge. Even the smallest intrusion can break a rhythm that took weeks to build. Consider the man who wakes early to study, train, plan, and discipline his mind. He has crafted a routine so precise that every action reinforces the next. But one unexpected visitor knocks at the door, and suddenly the sequence breaks. His concentration scatters. His energy shifts from creation to accommodation. His instinct moves from forward to neutral. And although the visitor may leave in an hour, the internal disturbance remains for the entire day. That lost momentum is invisible to the visitor, but deeply felt by the one who has something to lose. Or consider the guest who brings chaos in subtle forms. Loud laughter, restless movement, emotional neediness. They bring their own disorder into a space that was clean, aligned, optimized. When they leave, the atmosphere is different, as if dust has settled on everything. The powerful man senses it immediately. His thoughts are slower, his instinct is less sharp, his inner equilibrium feels slightly tilted. This is why he refuses visits unless absolutely necessary. He understands that energy, once disrupted, is costly to rebuild. What the world does not understand is that power is not maintained through constant socialization, but through the disciplined protection of one's internal world. Visitors violate that world simply by entering it. They are not merely people, they are influences. They are not merely guests, they are agents of unconscious change. They affect the mood, the pace, the mindset, the flow of thought. They introduce new desires, new emotions, new distractions, and a powerful man avoids this because he knows that the wrong influence entering his domain is far more dangerous than any enemy attacking from outside. An enemy you can see. A visitor hides his influence behind a smile. An enemy declares himself. A visitor affects you without ever intending to. Power is not lost through open confrontation. Power is lost in these quiet, subtle, invisible disruptions that most people never notice until the consequences arrive. The truth is simple. Powerful people do not dislike visitors. They dislike the invisible cost visitors bring. They dislike the shift in atmosphere, the intrusion on mind, the dilution of discipline. They dislike the way another person's presence can occupy attention that should belong to ambition. They dislike the way one social interaction can derail an entire day of calculated focus. And so they create distance not out of arrogance, but out of self-preservation. They build their lives around silence, not because they fear others, but because silence is the only environment where their strength evolves without interruption. Yet most people never understand this, because they think a visit is only what happens in the room. They never consider what happens inside the mind of the person whose space has been entered. And that is where the real danger begins, because behind every visit, even the most innocent one, there is something deeper at play, something most people never see, something the powerful sense instantly. A visitor is never just a person. A visitor is a message, a motive, a psychological force. A visitor is never just a person walking through a doorway. A visitor is an intrusion of intentions, and every intention carries a shadow. This is the part people refuse to admit. They pretend visits are innocent, casual, harmless, but the powerful learn early that no one enters your space without wanting something. Attention, validation, information, connection, influence, reassurance, or simply a piece of your time. And time, to a powerful individual, is not a resource. It is the currency of domination. The moment someone steps into your environment, they begin taking from you. Sometimes consciously, sometimes instinctively, but always inevitably. This is the hidden threat behind every knock on the door. The visitor comes with motives they often won't confess, and the powerful man senses those motives instantly, even before a single word is spoken. Their presence is already a demand. Their energy is already a request. Their arrival is already a claim. The irony is that most visitors believe they hide their intentions well. They believe the powerful do not see through the smile, the small talk, the polite entry. But the powerful do not listen to words. They read the deeper signals, the slight urgency in the voice, the hungry curiosity in the eyes, the restless tapping of the foot, the need for validation disguised as friendliness, the envy disguised as admiration, the subtle probing disguised as conversation. People rarely enter your space for nothing. Even the ones who insist they just dropped by are looking for psychological nourishment, to feel connected, to feel seen, to feel important, to feel reassured by your presence. And every time they take, your energy shifts. The powerful man understands this instinctively. He knows that every visitor arrives with a need, and every need becomes a pull. He protects his space not because he fears people, but because he refuses to be pulled away from his own direction. Then there are the visitors who come not to take comfort, but to take information. These are the most dangerous. They observe your environment, your habits, your routines, the objects in your room, the way you move, the way you respond, the way you guard your work. They look around, silently mapping your strengths, your vulnerabilities, your priorities. They ask innocent questions that carry strategic weight. How's your project going? What have you been working on lately? How do you spend your mornings? They phrase it as curiosity, but curiosity is rarely pure. In the world of power, curiosity is reconnaissance. The powerful man knows this. He knows that people observe with intentions they pretend they don't have. He knows that even a casual visitor can extract information he never intended to reveal. He knows that every detail someone learns about him becomes leverage someone might use later. This hidden extraction is what ordinary people never notice. They believe conversations are just conversations, moments are just moments, visits are just visits. But to the powerful, every interaction is a transaction. There is no neutral presence. There is no empty exchange. When someone enters your environment, they leave with more than they brought. And often, they leave with something you didn't realize you gave. A glimpse of your discipline, a hint of your strategy, a clue to your ambition, a detail about your weaknesses, a fragment of your inner world. The powerful man sees this danger clearly, which is why he becomes vigilant. He is not cold, he is calculating. He is not distant, he is protective. He is not antisocial, he is aware of the cost of allowing someone to step into his domain. But there is a darker threat still, one that the powerful sense immediately. A visitor brings their emotional world into yours, and that emotional world is never neutral. Some visitors bring anxiety. They carry a restlessness in their chest, a nervous electricity that disrupts the calm. Some bring envy, the quiet tightening of the jaw, the lingering glance at your success, the subtle resentment hidden behind compliments. Some bring insecurity, the need for reassurance, the silent hope that you will validate them. And some bring chaos, the inability to sit still, the habit of speaking before thinking, the emotional turbulence that spills into the room like smoke. These worlds are invisible, yet powerful. When they enter your space, they merge with your atmosphere. If you are not careful, their world becomes your world. Their tension becomes your tension. Their anxiety becomes your anxiety. Their chaos becomes your distraction. And this is the threat that most people don't have the awareness to detect. The visitor's emotional energy does not leave when the visitor leaves. It lingers. It settles. It stays in the air like a scent that refuses to fade. The powerful man senses this. He knows that allowing the wrong presence into his space is like allowing a foreign substance into his bloodstream. It alters him. It shifts him. It pulls him away from his center. For a man who depends on alignment, clarity, and agency, this is dangerous, extremely dangerous. And so he builds invisible walls, not out of arrogance, but out of survival. He refuses entry not because he dislikes people, but because he recognizes what they bring, even when they don't. He knows that intentions, emotions, motives, and expectations travel with every person who enters a room, and he knows that once they are inside, they are not easy to remove. This is why the powerful are selective. This is why they decline invitations. This is why they guard their doors, their routines, their personal world. They understand that visitors are never just visitors. They are influences, carriers of psychological contagion, bearers of emotional weight they often don't even notice in themselves. The powerful man sees the threat long before it arrives. He senses the hidden motives long before they are spoken. He reads the energy long before it is expressed. And as soon as someone steps inside his territory, he knows exactly what they want, even if they don't know it themselves. But there is something even more revealing, something most people never stop to consider. Why do people really want entry into the world of the powerful? What need, what hunger, what shadow drives them to step across that boundary? A powerful man's world is built like a mechanism, precise, silent, intentional. Every part fits into the next. Every routine reinforces the mission. Every moment is arranged to sharpen instinct and preserve direction. But the moment a visitor enters that world, the mechanism shifts, the rhythm breaks, the internal architecture realigns itself around the presence of another person, even if only for a moment. And this is the hidden disruption, the one most people never see, the one that quietly dismantles progress without leaving obvious traces. Visitors do not merely enter your space, they bend the energy inside it. They change the atmosphere, the pace, the direction of thought. They become an invisible gravitational force that pulls attention away from where it was meant to go. To ordinary people, this seems trivial. To the powerful, it is a threat of the highest order. A powerful man operates on momentum. His mind becomes sharper the more uninterrupted hours he accumulates. His strategy grows stronger the deeper he sinks into silence. His goals take shape through solitude, reflection, decision-making. There is a flow to this kind of life, a flow that is always delicate, always vulnerable to interruption. When someone enters his space, the flow collapses instantly. His instinct shifts from building to accommodating, from creating to responding. He cannot remain fully in his mission while someone else is inside his environment. Part of his mind becomes aware of the visitor, their movements, their presence, their expectations. Another part becomes watchful, alert, slightly defensive. Even if the visitor is harmless, the powerful man cannot be fully himself while being observed. His mind adjusts, his energy adjusts, his posture adjusts. And in power, every adjustment comes with a cost. This is why you will notice powerful individuals grow quieter, more distant, more restrained when someone steps into their domain. They are not shy, they are recalibrating. They are not cold, they are protecting their internal state. They are not dismissive, they are maintaining mastery over themselves. Every presence is a variable, and variables weaken control. Imagine a general preparing a battle plan in silence. Every detail is clear, every decision sharp, every instinct aligned. Then someone walks into the room, even a friendly presence, even a loyal one. Suddenly the general's mind fragments, the silence is gone, the atmosphere shifts, the precision evaporates. The general must now manage two worlds, the world of strategy and the world of the visitor. Power thrives when the mind is singular. It weakens the moment it becomes divided. This internal fracture is what makes visitors dangerous. Their presence forces the powerful man's attention outward when it should remain inward. Their energy becomes something he must account for. Their psychology becomes something he must navigate. Even small things, the sound of their breathing, the movement of their hands, the rhythm of their voice, alter the environment. When someone sits beside him, the air between them becomes charged. When someone asks a question, the mind must respond. When someone watches silently, the mind becomes aware of being watched. The powerful man's internal landscape is no longer his own. He has to compensate for another presence, and that compensation derails the deep focus that his strength is built upon. This disruption grows even more dangerous when the visitor carries emotional weight. If they are anxious, the atmosphere fills with tension. If they are insecure, the room fills with subtle neediness. If they are chaotic, the space becomes unstable. The powerful man must then manage not only his own state, but theirs. He must keep the balance, prevent discomfort, adjust his responses, regulate the emotional temperature. Whether he realizes it or not, he is now performing. He is no longer purely himself. He is a version of himself shaped by the visitor's energy. And once the environment forces him into performance, his authenticity dissolves, his instinct dulls, and his strategic clarity becomes blurry. This is why powerful individuals fiercely guard who can enter their world. They know that once someone steps inside, the psychological dynamic changes entirely. Even a brief interaction can alter the trajectory of the rest of the day. A single conversation can shift motivation. A single emotional exchange can weaken discipline. A single moment of misalignment can derail an entire week of momentum. The powerful man recognizes this danger the same way a hunter recognizes the scent of a predator, immediately and instinctively. He does not allow people inside his domain freely, because he knows how fragile his internal power becomes when forced to coexist with another person's presence. But the deepest disruption is not the conversation, the observation, or even the emotional contagion. It is something far more subtle, far more dangerous. When a visitor enters his space, they alter the powerful man's future calculations. They change the mental maps he was constructing. They shift the timing of his decisions. They interrupt the gestation of strategy. A man in solitude is building visions. A man with a visitor is reacting. And once he is reacting, he is no longer advancing. Every visit, no matter how small, steals a piece of foresight, that delicate, invisible state where the future is being shaped in the silence of the present. This is the true cost of allowing people into your world. Not the lost time, not the lost focus, but the lost alignment with the path you are shaping for yourself. One presence can fracture it. One interruption can distort it. One emotional shift can redirect it. And the powerful man understands this with brutal clarity. That is why silence is sacred. That is why solitude is a shield. That is why his environment is carefully protected, guarded not by walls, but by awareness. Because one moment of disruption can lead to miscalculation, and one miscalculation can end everything. And yet this is not the full danger. There is another layer, darker, more psychological, more instinctive. that explains why powerful individuals avoid unnecessary human contact with even greater intensity. It is the part that reveals what a visitor really wants to change and what they unconsciously attempt to influence the moment they enter. A powerful man does not avoid people because he dislikes them. He avoids them because he understands what they try to do to him the moment they enter his world. Most visitors are not aware of it, but the powerful sense it instantly. Every person who steps into your environment tries to influence you in some way. It is a law of human nature that operates beneath awareness. A visitor brings not only their presence but their preferences, not only their personality but their psychological gravity. They walk in with subtle expectations, how you should behave, how you should speak, how much attention you should give, how much of yourself you should reveal. Without saying a word, they pull you into their rhythm. They want the room to adjust to them. They want your energy to shift toward them. They want you to meet them at the emotional level they feel comfortable in. And the powerful man senses this invisible pressure immediately. He knows he is being asked to mold himself, even slightly, to accommodate another person's world. And that is the single intruder he never allows. When someone enters your space, they unconsciously attempt to bring you into their psychological tempo. If they are slow and passive, they slow you down. If they are frantic and anxious, they agitate your nervous system. If they are dramatic, they charge the air with tension. If they are insecure, they subtly pull you into reassurance. Every visitor tries to shift you toward their internal climate. They want you to match them, adjust to them, reflect them. This is not malicious, it is instinct. Humans regulate themselves through others. They tune the energy of a room to mirror their own. But the powerful man cannot afford this. He cannot let his identity, built through discipline, silence, and internal strength, be reshaped by someone who has not built themselves. He cannot lower his psychological standard to meet theirs. He cannot let the emotional frequency he cultivated be disrupted by someone who doesn't even understand their own. This is the silent conflict that begins the moment someone crosses the threshold. The visitor wants the environment to bend. The powerful man wants it to remain still. The visitor wants to feel comfortable. The powerful man wants to remain sovereign. The visitor wants emotional ease. The powerful man wants psychological control. And these two forces cannot coexist peacefully. One always overpowers the other. If the visitor's presence dominates, the powerful man loses the internal command that his life depends on. If he dominates, the visitor senses discomfort, distance, restraint, and often labels him cold or unwelcoming. But the powerful man is not seeking warmth. He is seeking integrity. He refuses to shapeshift for another person's emotional convenience. His character is not something he negotiates when someone walks into the room. This is why the powerful prefer controlled environments and planned interactions. In those settings, they dictate the terms. They choose the time, the location, the duration, the purpose. They decide which part of themselves to reveal and which to conceal. They maintain leverage. They remain the dominant presence. But when someone enters their private domain, their home, their creative space, their sanctuary, the dynamic becomes unstable. The visitor's emotions seep into the walls. Their habits echo through the atmosphere. Their expectations fill the air. Suddenly, the powerful man is no longer the architect of the environment. He becomes the guardian, trying to preserve its balance. And preservation always requires more energy than creation. The powerful avoid unnecessary contact because they know that every social interaction carries a transactional demand. Even the most harmless visitor expects something in return. A certain level of attention, a certain manner of speaking, a certain emotional posture, a certain degree of openness. Visitors expect you to soften, to mirror, to accommodate. They expect you to shift away from the pure, unfiltered version of yourself, the version that appears only in solitude. And this is the version the powerful protect most fiercely, not because they are hiding something, but because this version is the source of their clarity, their strategy, their discipline. When someone enters their space, the powerful feel the pressure to step into a role: host, conversational partner, listener, guide. Every role is a mask, and the more time a man spends wearing masks, the weaker his true self becomes. Even worse, visitors bring with them the subtle desire to influence how you think. They offer suggestions, opinions, judgments, questions that subtly pressure you to view your life differently. Why don't you relax, they say, not understanding that relaxation requires safety, and safety requires privacy. Why don't you socialize more, they insist, unaware that socializing often fragments a mind that needs coherence. Why do you work so hard, they ask, blind to the fact that a powerful man's mission is not something he can dilute. Each of these innocent questions carries an influence. Each is a small attempt to shape your thinking toward their worldview. And the powerful cannot afford this. Their worldview is forged through discipline, pain, solitude, and absolute responsibility. They cannot let the softness of ordinary thinking contaminate it. And so the powerful keep their distance, not because they fear people, but because they see the invisible influence people try to exert. They see how visitors unconsciously attempt to shift their mood, their rhythm, their thoughts. They see how every presence introduces a psychological disruption that takes hours, sometimes days, to reverse. They see how the simple act of hosting another person can fracture the inner architecture they spent months strengthening. But the deepest truth is not yet spoken, because beyond the emotional pressure, beyond the social demands, beyond the subtle influence, there is something far more dangerous that happens when someone enters the domain of the powerful. They gain access to a part of the powerful man's identity they were never meant to see. A powerful man's identity is not something he displays openly. It is not something the world sees in public. It is not something he reveals in conversation. His true identity lives in the silence of his private environment, in the routines no one witnesses, the thoughts no one hears, the ambitions no one knows he is shaping. This interior world is the source of his power. It is where he becomes dangerous. And this is precisely why he avoids visitors, because the moment someone steps inside his domain, they gain access to the part of him that should remain untouchable. They see pieces of the man he is becoming, not the man he presents. They gain a glimpse behind the mask. They enter the chamber where his strength is forged. And the powerful understand a brutal truth. Once someone sees where your power comes from, they can interfere with it. In solitude, a powerful man strengthens his identity like a blade in a furnace. His thoughts harden, his convictions deepen, his instincts sharpen. He becomes aligned with himself without distortion. But when someone enters that environment, the forging stops. The heat cools, the shaping is interrupted. Identity formation requires silence. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of external influence. When a visitor enters your space, they bring influence in every breath, every gesture, every comment. Even their presence creates a gravitational pull that threatens the inner construction you've been building. The powerful know that identity, once disrupted, takes immense energy to restore, and so they guard their solitude as if their life depends on it, because in the world of power it does. This inner identity is not just the way a powerful man thinks. It is the specific psychological posture he inhabits when he's alone. The focused eyes, the tightened jaw, the controlled breathing, the upright spine, the unconsciously dominant presence that comes only when he is free from the expectations of others. In solitude, he becomes more than himself. He becomes the most dangerous version of himself, the strategist, the visionary, the hunter. But once a visitor enters, that posture shifts. A small softening appears. A subtle accommodating tone emerges. The hunter turns into the host. The predator becomes observant instead of intentional. Without even noticing it, the powerful man steps away from the apex version of himself, and the visitor, oblivious to the transformation they have caused, unknowingly weakens him simply by being there. This is why the powerful withdraw from unnecessary contact, not to avoid people, but to preserve the version of themselves that power requires. People imagine power as something external, wealth, status, influence. But real power begins internally, in the consistent alignment of thought, emotion, and instinct. A man cannot hold that alignment if he allows too many people into the space where it is formed. Every visitor creates a fracture. Every interaction shifts the internal balance. Every presence triggers subtle psychological adjustments that dilute the purity of the man's inner state. And the powerful do not permit their identity to be diluted, not even slightly, not for anyone. It goes even deeper. When someone enters your domain, they begin studying you, consciously or not. They analyze your habits, your routines, your strengths, your rituals. They notice how you move, how you think, how you live. This gives them access to your power source. It gives them visibility into the architecture of your identity. And visibility is vulnerability. A powerful man knows that if people see how he operates, they can mimic it, undermine it, question it, judge it, or attempt to influence it. The world is full of people who observe not to understand, but to compare. They look into your life and immediately begin measuring themselves. This measurement turns into envy. Envy turns into subtle sabotage. Sabotage turns into interference. And interference in the domain where your identity is built is fatal. The most dangerous part is this. Once someone has been allowed into your world, they never truly leave it. Even after they walk out the door, they remain psychologically present. Their comments echo in your mind. Their reaction will play in your memory. Their expectations linger in your emotional residue. Their influence stays alive in the air, even when they are long gone. And if you are not careful, their presence continues shaping your identity long after they've exited your home. This is why the powerful protect their space like a temple. They know that the mind absorbs what the environment contains. They know that people carry invisible imprints. They know that allowing the wrong person inside your world is like letting a weak hand rearrange the pieces on a board only you understand. Solitude then becomes not isolation but a crucible. It becomes the forge where the man becomes unbeatable. His ideas crystallize, his vision strengthens, his resolve hardens, his identity becomes immovable. No visitor can contribute to this. They can only interrupt it. The powerful man embraces solitude because it is the only condition under which he remains sovereign over his own becoming. Every moment alone is an investment in a future that no one else can influence. Every interruption is a theft from that future. And yet, there is still a deeper danger. The final danger that few understand. A visitor does not merely disrupt your environment, influence your identity, or shift your momentum. A visitor has the power to alter the entire trajectory of your life without ever intending to. Their presence, their expectations, their emotional gravity, their unconscious influence, all of this can redirect your path. A powerful man does not fear people. He fears what their presence can do to the course of his life. Most visitors believe they come and go without consequence, but the powerful understand a darker truth. Every person you let into your world has the ability to shift your destiny. Not through dramatic betrayal, not through overt sabotage, but through the smallest psychological nudges that accumulate over time. A visitor brings suggestions, reactions, emotional tones, subtle judgments, silent expectations, tiny forces that push your life 1 degree off course. And 1 degree, repeated over months or years, can send a man so far from his path that he wakes up one day and no longer recognizes the person he was meant to become. This is why the powerful grow selective to the point of appearing antisocial. They are not avoiding people. They are avoiding fate being rewritten by people. The wrong presence can slow a man who was meant to move quickly. It can soften a man who was meant to grow sharper. It can burden a man who was meant to remain free. It can awaken doubts in a man who was meant to stay decisive. Visitors do this unknowingly. They bring their worldview into your environment and press it onto you gently but persistently. Don't work so hard. Take a break. Relax a little. Why are you doing all that? These phrases seem harmless, but to a man building something large, they are psychological toxins. They chip away at ambition. They normalize mediocrity. They plant seeds of hesitation. And hesitation in the realm of power is lethal. A visitor does not need to sabotage you intentionally. Their comfort with smallness is enough to derail you. Even worse is the visitor who carries insecurity. Their very presence draws you down to their level. They need reassurance, validation, emotional buffering. You begin to shrink yourself so they don't feel inferior. You dull your edge so they don't feel threatened. You hide your progress to avoid making them uncomfortable. The powerful man learns quickly. The insecure visitor is the most destructive, not because they attack you, but because they make you abandon parts of yourself to maintain harmony. And every piece you surrender is a piece of destiny lost. A powerful man protects his solitude because he refuses to negotiate his future for someone else's comfort. Then there are the visitors who carry envy. They smile, but the eyes tighten. They compliment, but the tone betrays bitterness. They observe your discipline, your order, your ambition, and something inside them twists. Envy is a silent poison that seeps into your space. They begin to make subtle comments designed to pull you off your elevation. They ask questions that inject doubt. They offer advice designed to weaken your certainty. They cloak judgment in concern. And if you are not vigilant, their envy slowly redirects your trajectory. Envy has ruined more rising men than open enemies ever have. A powerful man avoids visitors because he recognizes that even the quietest envy can distort the direction of his life. But the deepest danger is not the visitor's energy, or their needs, or their envy. It is the psychological contract created the moment you let them in. When someone enters your space, they gain a belief that they now have the right to influence your decisions. They feel entitled to your attention. They feel entitled to updates about your life. They feel entitled to access. They feel entitled to be included in your evolution. And entitlement always grows. The more access you give, the more access they expect. The more they expect, the more they interfere. The more they interfere, the more your path bends away from its true destination. This is how a man's destiny is destroyed, not through a single catastrophic event, but through a slow accumulation of redirected moments caused by the wrong people entering his world. One unneeded conversation, one emotional detour, one unnecessary debate, one shift in mood, one lost day of focus, and suddenly the future he was building with precision becomes blurred, delayed, corrupted. The powerful understand that solitude is not loneliness, it is protection. It is the shield that ensures no hand, no voice, no presence can alter the path that was meant only for them. This is why they guard their environment like an empire. This is why they grow colder as they rise. This is why their circle shrinks until only the indispensable remain. They are not keeping the world out, they are keeping their destiny intact. They know that greatness is a fragile construction, too delicate to share with careless visitors, too precise to be exposed to unpredictable energies, too sacred to be contaminated by the insecurities or expectations of others. A powerful man does not build his life for visitors. He builds it for legacy, and legacy requires silence, solitude, and absolute protection of the environment where destiny is shaped. In the end, the powerful don't dislike visitors. They simply understand the cost of momentum, of clarity, of identity, of psychological sovereignty, of their entire future. They understand that letting the wrong person inside is not a momentary inconvenience, but a potential fracture in the path they were carving with such ruthless intention. And so they choose silence. They choose distance. They choose solitude. Not because they lack humanity, but because they refuse to let anyone, knowingly or unknowingly, interfere with the life they are determined to build. If you've made it this far, it's because a part of you already knows this truth. The powerful protect their space, because power grows in silence. Every visitor brings noise, distraction, expectation, and every open door is a crack where influence leaks out. Solitude is not loneliness, it is strategy. Now tell me in the comments, are you ready to guard your space the way powerful men do? Are you willing to keep your circle small, your time sacred, and your energy untouchable? If this message touched you, if it made sense, write in the comments, I protect my space. Let's see how many here are truly ready to live with boundaries that intimidate the world. And don't forget, keep watching the next video. It's important, much more than you imagine.